The chandeliers of the Newport Beach mansion threw broken light across a five-tier cake, across champagne flutes frozen mid-toast, across the diamond burning quietly on Natalie Harper's left hand. Then Ryan Caldwell lifted the microphone, and his voice fell over the room like cold water. There's been a small change tonight. The room stilled. The woman I'm going to marry is Amber. Her own sister drifted out of the crowd in a gold silk dress, threaded her arm through his with the ease of a woman claiming what she had always intended to take. Phones rose. Laughter splintered the air. Carol leaned in close, her whisper sharp as glass. Don't make a scene in front of everyone. Natalie didn't cry. She walked out into the dark garden alone. And somewhere beyond the laughter, beyond the cameras, a stranger in a worn flannel shirt was already waiting. 6 weeks before the chandelier shattered her life, Natalie Harper still believed she was going to be a wife. At 29, she was a mid-level accountant at a Newport Beach commercial real estate firm. The kind of woman who balanced spreadsheets and grief with the same quiet efficiency. 9 years earlier, her father had died of a heart condition the family hadn't been able to afford to treat in time. From the night of his funeral on, she had become the steady column holding her mother and younger sister upright. A check mailed home on the first of every month. College tuition covered. Late-night phone calls answered without complaint. She did not consider herself complicated. She wanted to be honest. She wanted to be steady. And more than anything, she wanted to be seen for what she was actually worth. Her mother, Carol, measured love in practical terms. A good marriage, in Carol's vocabulary, was the door out of every worry that had ever kept her awake. Amber, 3 years younger and built for attention, had grown up in Natalie's shadow and refused to admit it. To strangers, she was sunshine. At home, her eyes counted what belonged to Natalie. Ryan Caldwell had walked into Natalie's life through a quarterly audit. He was 34, the youngest chief executive in his family's real estate group. Tailored suits, a Range Rover, a voice that made other men listen. He pursued her patiently. He proposed in a quiet restaurant overlooking the harbor and said, "I want to build a life with you, if you'll let me." She believed him, because believing him was easier than the alternative. But in the weeks before the engagement party, something shifted. Ryan grew distant, blaming work in San Diego. Amber, meanwhile, was suddenly everywhere. Dress fittings, cryptic social media captions, phone calls that ended too quickly when Natalie entered the room. One evening, Natalie overheard part of a call. "You worry too much," Amber laughed. "Relax. You're about to marry Rich." Natalie wanted to believe her. So she did. The night of the party, the mansion glowed like a postcard from a life she barely recognized as hers. She wore an emerald gown, soft curls pinned carefully into place. A smile practiced twice in the mirror. Champagne flowed. Laughter filled the air. Then Ryan tapped the microphone. And everything changed. "There's been a small change tonight," he said again, calm, measured. "The woman I'm going to marry is Amber." He spoke like he was closing a report. "Amber understands the life I lead. She understands what this position requires." The unspoken truth hung in the air. Natalie did not. Amber stepped forward, golden and certain. The room turned. Someone whispered, "Wait, that's the bride's sister." Carol grabbed Natalie's elbow. "Walk out the side." Not, "Are you okay?" Not, "What is he doing?" Just, "Walk out." So Natalie walked. The garden stretched dark and quiet beyond the glow of the ballroom. She stopped at a stone wall, palms pressed against the cold surface. No tears came, only silence. Then footsteps.
A man approached slowly, unhurried. He didn't ask if she was okay. He didn't stare. He simply held out a bottle of water. "Long night," he said. "Drink." He wore a worn flannel shirt. Old jeans. Grass-stained shoes. Nothing about him belonged to that party. "Do you work here?" Natalie asked. "No." A pause. "I came to see someone." "Daniel," he added. "Daniel Cole." The name meant nothing. He set the bottle beside her, nodded once, and walked away. Natalie watched him go. Then she picked up the bottle, and drank. By morning, the internet had decided her story. A video clip spread everywhere. The surprise engagement of the year. Strangers dissected her expression. Her dress. The moment her life fell apart. Natalie sat in her kitchen, scrolling through it all, feeling nothing. Her phone rang. Her mother. "You left early," Carol said. People noticed. Natalie closed her eyes. "Your sister and Ryan want to come over. We should talk. Get it over with before it looks worse." There it was. Not, "Are you hurt?" Just, "How does it look?" "I'm not coming," Natalie said. "Don't be dramatic." "I'm not being dramatic. I'm being done." She hung up. In
It
the
was
mirror,
7:48
she
on a
barely
Monday morning
recognized
when
herself.
Cole Whitaker's phone
The
buzzed
tears were
against the
gone.
edge of his saw bench.
In their place
He
was
was
something
mid-cut,
colder.
a 12-foot plank
Something
of white
sharper.
oak trembling under the
Control.
blade, sawdust rising in
couldn't
a pale
control
cloud
Ryan.
around his forearms.
She couldn't
He
control
let the
the
saw
gossip.
finish before he picked up.
She couldn't
The
control
voice was
her mother.
calm. The April
But
wind
she
cut
could
across
control
the
who she
outdoor
became
range in
next.
Cranston. 8 men stood in
She
a row
removed the
in matte
diamond
black
ring.
tactical gear.
Looked
At
at
the
it
end of the
once.
line stood Rhett Donovan
Then dropped
in
it
a faded
into a
flannel,
drawer she would
worn
never open
jeans,
again.
and scuffed work boots.
Somewhere across
Tobias
the city,
Grange
Daniel
laughed
Cole
first,
was getting his
jerking his
7-year-old
chin.
son ready
Wrong
for
place,
school.
locksmith. County
Neither
Fair's
of them knew
2
yet how
exits
their
down.
lives would collide.
The others laughed with him.
The
On the
phone
balcony,
call came
Vivian
3 days
Ashcroft
later.
watched with her arms
Her
folded,
supervisor.
face flat.
An
Brett looked straight at
indefinite
Tobias. He set his bag
Ryan
down.
had made
His
sure
voice
of it.
came low. "I'm here
Within a
because I
week,
was
her
invited."
career
It was a
collapsed.
quiet Sunday afternoon at
Applications
Millhaven
sent.
Community Park. The kind of
Rejections
afternoon
received.
that asks nothing of you.
Then came the
Jake Merritt
flowers.
sat on a wooden bench,
White
his shoulders
roses.
loose for the first time all week.
Expensive.
His daughter Mia pressed
Impressive.
against his side.
Inside,
7 years
a
old,
letter.
pink cheeks,
Ryan's
a strawberry
handwriting.
ice cream cone melting
Polite.
faster than she could keep up.
Careful.
She watched the pigeons with
A
complete
check for $50,000. A suggestion she leave the city quietly. Start over somewhere else. And keep silent. Natalie read it 3 times. Then she tore the check. Again. And again. Until nothing remained. She sealed the envelope. Wrote, "Return to sender." And dropped it into a mailbox without hesitation. That was the moment she took her life back. 2 Saturdays later, she sat in a small coffee shop with a stack of resumes. A voice spoke her name. Natalie Harper. Daniel stood there. Flannel. Coffee in hand. A small boy beside him. "This is my son, Mason." The boy studied her. "Are you sad?" he asked. She laughed. For the first time in weeks. And just like that, something shifted. Saturdays became routine. Coffee. Conversation. Quiet understanding. Daniel never asked about the party. Never pushed. He just stayed. One night, a call came. "Mason's in the ER," Daniel said. "He's asking for you." She didn't hesitate. She went. And stayed. All night. When the fever broke, Mason held her hand as he slept. And something inside her settled. 2 weeks later, another rejection email arrived. She closed her laptop. Went to the coffee shop. Daniel arrived anyway. He didn't ask questions. He just sat. "You don't have to be strong with me," he said softly. And for the first time, she wasn't. A week later, her mother called again. "They're planning the wedding," Carol said. "You need to do something." Natalie understood. Find someone new. Prove something. Fix appearances. That Saturday, Daniel asked her a question. "What do you want, Natalie?" She thought. "I want peace," she said. "I want respect." He nodded. Then he said quietly. "Marry me." She stared at him. He didn't smile. Didn't explain. "I'm not saying this out of pity," he said. "I'm saying it because you deserve better. And because Mason, and I, need someone like you." She studied him. Then asked, "Who are you really?" "I'll tell you after you answer." She took a breath. And said yes. 2 weeks later, they stood in a courthouse. Simple clothes. No spectacle. 12 minutes. A quiet promise. On the steps outside, Mason asked, "Are you my mom now?" Natalie smiled softly. "We're working on it." And they were. Months later, when trouble came again, Daniel stood beside her. And this time, he didn't just stand. He revealed who he truly was. Not a struggling consultant. Not a quiet single father. But a man with power. A man who could dismantle everything Ryan had built. And when the truth came out, Ryan backed down. Completely. The apology came. The threat vanished. And Natalie finally understood. She hadn't married up. She hadn't married down. She had chosen right. Later, sitting in that same coffee shop, Mason asked her something simple. "If you knew Dad was rich, would you still have married him?" She thought carefully. Then smiled. "I don't know," she said. "But I'm glad I didn't know. Because the truth was simple. Real strength wasn't the man you married. It was who you remained when everything was taken from you." Natalie lifted her coffee. Daniel reached across the table, resting his hand over hers. Not for show. Not for anyone else. Just, there. And outside the window, life went on. Ordinary. Unnoticed. Beautiful. And for the first time in a long time, so did she.